my parents. My father was a postal clerk, and though he was involved in a lot of civil rights, social type of stuff, he ran a Black History program at the time called Negro History, a program called the Negro History Committee. Those type of things. Then my father, I was only 23 when he passed, so we never had a type of relationship where I like hung out with my father, But the time I had with him and the lessons that he taught me has always stayed with me. And what he among many things he told me is that one of the things that stuck, and it may resonate today, he said at the time, the color man, you said, color man, you can't be successful just for you. You have to be successful for other people and bring other people with you. And not only that, he said, you have to be twice as good as those other folks. So you've got to be the best at whatever you do. And I've tried to instill that as I've moved along and taught journalism and recruited young people for careers in the media. I say, you have got to be the best. Be so good they could say, I can't stand Kyrie Frazier, but doggone it, he's the best writer we got. Nothing we can do about it.
Okay, and as you talk about that, you said he was doing something with Negro History at the time.
Yes. He and this kind of thing, Kyrie, where you don't appreciate it when you're that young. But this is back in the 50s now. Mm-hmm. Black History wasn't that popular. We didn't have, and it was called Negro History Week. But somehow my father,
Carter G. Woodson, started with the week,
right?
And now it's expanded to a month.
My father was a converted Catholic, and so he got interested in, at the time, Negro History Week, and he would hold these programs every February at the McGregor Conference Center at Wayne State. So I grew up with this. And he would invite dignitaries, a lot of time from clerics from Africa, from various countries in Africa, to come here. And he would have the dignitaries from all over the United States, he and his committee, to do these programs on Negro History Week. He had Benjamin Mays come.
Are you serious?
He had Carl Rowan come.
Wow.
He had people that I can't even tell you who were coming. This is back when it was not popular. It was not the thing. And we just kind of took it for granted. And
so a lot of what you're doing right now with Arise Detroit, you witnessed the possibilities of that.
And not knowing what it would become. But I think in an indirect way, subliminally, it affected me. And I'll tell you one story that kind of resonates with me. And because my father would bring these, when he passed, I'd go through his papers. I find letters from bishops in Africa, priests in Africa, thanking him for this and that. This is when I was about 10 years old or so. He had invited a bishop from Africa, from the country at the time called Tanganyika, to come to our house for dinner. His name was Bishop Rugamba. He invited him over. My mother cooked an old-fashioned soul food dinner, with the greens, chicken, fried corn. A year later, now remember I went to Catholic schools. I went to St. Agnes. So about a year later in religion class, we are reading about the first African cardinal. So the nun, we read about it, and I raised my hand and said, sister, because his name is now Cardinal Lauren Rugamba.
You like, hey,
and
he was at my crib last year.
And I said, sister, he was at our house. He ate dinner at our house. And the nun said, Luther Keith, don't tell a lie like that in class. I never will forget it. But of course I didn't know that. And as I got older, many people, just like Horace Sheffield Sr., who's now, but his father and my father were friends.
Wow, that ran
way back in the day,
which we know Dabo, a heck of an organization.
Ed Vaughn's father. Ed Vaughn, who used to have the bookstore, who now lives down south, his father and my father had a connection back in the day. So he was like, from that generation, a lot of folks worked with a lot of folks. And see, he worked at the post office. And back in the 50s, black doctors, black lawyers, they couldn't get jobs. They worked at the post office. So he was working with these guys. They couldn't get real work. So these doctors and lawyers were working at the post office till they got their act together. And that's kind of what he grew up with. But a lot of stuff I took for granted. So when I got older, I I would run into people who said, man, your father, I worked with your father. Your father was, and I didn't have a sense of that till I got much older.
Wow. Now, as we talk about this, and this is kind of, you came in and we were talking about Reverend Sampson, and Reverend Sampson has a program, Frida, one of my friends, and I work with Frida, with the Black Coffee Podcast. Make sure you come out, support us on that. But May 19th is an event in honor of him. And we're always talking about his library.
Right.
What were some of the books your dad was reading? How was he getting this information about history?
Well, sure. I don't even know. I just know that he was very, he must have read, I don't know, I didn't see the books, but he was very learned, very knowledgeable, and educating himself through interaction with a lot of people. And it was just a passion that he had. And I don't know why, because, again, it was not popular. Negro History Week and all that stuff was not even popular. It was not even fashionable. But, that's what we grew up with, and it stuck with me. And indirectly, I think it's rubbed off to me in a lot of ways that they've exhibited themselves in my own life.
Blues and the Badman, Saturday at Tony V's Tavern. Come enjoy the blues style of Luther Badman Keith and his band. Bourbon Blues and the Badman is a show produced by Detroit is Different. Tickets are $15 and 2 for $20. Limited seating. Buy your tickets today at www.detroitisdifferent.com. Tony V's is located at 5756 Cass Avenue in Detroit's Wayne State University District.